talk a little bit about this idea of purpose, this modern bourgeois idea of finding this place called the center of God's will, or this utopian place where you were offered everything that the Bible offers to you for free if you can just find it. There's this sense of God has a perfect job for you. He has a perfect spouse for you. He has a perfect plan for you. And it's all about you. And when you find this place of purpose, you're finally going to be content. You're finally going to be peaceful. You're finally going to have joy. You're finally going to have meaning. You're finally going to feel truly human. What is so interesting is everything that this modern idea offers in way of purpose is what the Bible actually says is free. And freedom is actually the issue. Freedom is actually the problem. We're told that if you find this place of purpose, and God wants you to be there, and He has a calling for you, and I know the plans that I have for you, my plans, not your plans, but if you can find this place, then there is this sense of destiny, this utopian place that you can find. And in that place, you will experience all the things that the Bible offers for free. The problem with that is that place doesn't exist. That place of perfect conformity to your true self, to your true purpose, actually makes you the center of all God's intentions. It actually makes you the center of the universe. And it actually makes you not free. It makes you less free. And more than that, it even puts you in bondage. So that you continue to live in the chase instead of the place. And C.S. Lewis talks a little bit about this in The Great Divorce. One of the things that one of the characters is complaining about in heaven is that everything is free. And that's a problem, because he says society is built upon scarcity. It is people's the need to not be able to have something, so you have to barter and trade. There's a barter and trade system that's happening, and that's what keeps society together. He said the problem with heaven is that everything is free. If you think about a new house, you can have a new house. And so when you have conflict with your neighbor, you can just move away. And the gray city that he speaks about keeps growing and growing, and people living further apart because they never figure out their issues. And he says it's because everything's free and there's no scarcity. That's the thing with heaven. When you get to heaven, there is not going to be a barter system. Your worth is not going to be based upon you finding that perfect place, that you start out as a baby, as an infant with baby fresh skin, and then you're moving through life until you find this perfect place, the center on the theological, the terrestrial map of your heart or of your soul. And when you find that place, you're going to have everything that Christ offers for free. And that's the problem, is that we're living in this barter system where we're constantly looking at our jobs. We're constantly looking at how many clicks we get. We're constantly looking at, our positions or the things that we own and comparing ourselves. We're living in a barter system, and it's this barter system that in the moments where we feel like we've made a good trade, that we actually feel that we are in that place and in that purpose. Heaven is going to be devoid of all of this. In heaven, everything is free, and there's nothing you can trade for worth. There's nothing you can do for personal purpose or personal satisfaction. You're going to be fully satisfied. One of the things I asked my daughter, because we were having this conversation, and she was saying there's all these things that she wants to do, and until she does them, that she's not going to feel, she gets a sense of purpose when she does them. And I agree with that those things do bring that. But I said to her, would you want to live in a place where you had a button, and let's say you wanted to learn guitar, you could just press the button, and all of a sudden, like in the Matrix, it would be downloaded to you, and you just were the best guitar player in the world. And if you wanted a house, you didn't have to work for it. You could just press a button, and it would be free, and everything was just given to you. She said, no, I wouldn't want that, because part of the purpose and the identity is, the struggle to get to that. And I actually find personal meaning through acquiring those things. Well, the problem is there's nothing wrong with acquiring, and there's nothing wrong with doing. The question is, why are we doing it? Because in God's economy, if we're doing it we show up to the search for purpose or for meaning, and we Christify it. We throw God in there, we mix it up, and that's why this purposing, I think, is a lot more confusing for believers than it is for atheists. Because atheists, they just get about it, and they ask these questions. But there isn't this weird thing of is God really want me in this place? Am I in the right place? I love that statement. I think it's been attributed to I was going to say Aquinas. It's not Aquinas. You can look it up on your own. But, to do the things that you like and serve God as you do them and be happy as you go. Count Zinzendorf says something even more extreme. He says, serve God, die, and be forgotten. And this idea that there is this place that we're trying to move to, and we start getting this sense of personal worth according to getting closer to that place on the map. This is the problem with heaven. And one of the things we want to do is realize that we're supposed to make earth look like heaven, which means we need to live as if everything is free. Obviously, building a house isn't free. But the worth that we get by accomplishing those things, the thing that we're striving for and struggling for, worth, self-worth, hope, joy, peace, all of those things are available to you for free. That's why this whole idea of purpose is so modern. For thousands of years, your purpose was to make sure that your crops didn't fail. 80 to 90% of society was agrarian. Or if you were a baker, the reason your last name is Baker, because there was no, what job shall I seek out? What college will I go to? That is a modern bourgeois privileged idea that the majority of society for thousands of years never had to deal with. Matter of fact, they had to just get on with life. They had to get on with the relationships with others, and they had to find meaning in doing the very thing that they could not walk away from. And this is still true today for the majority of the impoverished around the world today. I mean, it's really elitist if you were to go to somebody in the slums of Mumbai and ask them, what's your purpose? What are you trying to accomplish? And they would say survival. That's my purpose. Or if you go to Africa. But, I would say the dissatisfaction we get as Westerners running after our purpose is of our own making. It's of our own doing. And it oftentimes is because we have too much time on our hands. We're not living in a survival mode like we've lived in for most of society. Will the crops come? Will the rains come? We have all this free time to think about, does my life really matter? Will I be remembered? Will I move on? Where Jesus is saying, of course your life matters because you matter to me. And I don't care so much about your purpose. I am your purpose. And any things that I have you to do or that I call you to, you are doing because of my purpose. Your purpose is to fulfill my purpose. But so few Christians show up to the table or to this question feeling as if the reason they're going after something is, will it please God? Do they sit before the Father, or when they accomplish something at the end of a day of writing that book and that book becomes a bestseller, how many really sit there and say, God, I am so blessed that you got your word out and you were glorified and magnified through this? That isn't what we do. We think we walk into church, we walk into a restaurant, people know who we are, they see who we are, and all of a sudden we feel like we've done something. We've moved one pile of dirt from this side of the room to that side of the room. But if we're only doing it so that we can have this sense to experience something that's already been given to you for free, then actually you're showing up to the entire situation, the entire question in deficit. This is the problem. When you show up to something that is supposed to be your calling and you're trying to fill something that is empty. You see, when we show up knowing that everything that we are seeking has already been given to us and is for free, we can put down the questions of purpose. We can put down the questions of striving and seeking to go to the next mountain. And we can slow down and we can begin enjoying what we do fully. Not because we're trying to fill a deficit, because we're already full. And when you do that thing because you love God, because it pleases Him, and you are in collaboration with God as you do it. I want to especially speak to young people my own age, that are looking so hard, or they're desperate to find that place. That place doesn't exist. At least it doesn't exist in the way that we've been thinking about it in the modern purpose. It does exist, but you would have to be willing to live in a free society. And if you live in a free society, which is the society of heaven, you have to give away all of those things that you want to use to barter with. You're going to have to give away all those little tools and all those little benefits you get from accomplishing something so you can prove to others or perhaps to yourself that you matter. And this is the point. You already matter. You see, you live in a free society already. It is the kingdom of God, and you no longer need to strive. What I would say is that purpose, personal purpose, is a bondage. It is a demonic deception, and it is keeping us entangled and not living in the freedom and the hope and the peace I guess the next question is, how do we learn how to get out of bed in the morning when we're not being driven by motivation, the motivation to feel something, but we're being driven by inspiration? Because that's a completely different type of fuel. It is a hard oak that burns slower, that is harder to get lit, but actually burns longer, and its embers stay on and on and on. Hey, I hope you can detoxify yourself from purpose and this quest, and you can begin to become intoxicated with the love of God. This is what it's supposed to be in purpose.